Is it real? Does it exist? In the words of Zack Snyder, of course it does! What's up, Popcorn Squad? Today we are talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, or as the cool kids call it, the Snyder Cut. This once fabled cut of what was supposed to be 2017's Justice League is finally being released on March 18th exclusively on HBO Max. Now, you may be thinking, first off, what is the Snyder Cut? How is this any different from the movie that we saw in 2017? It looks like it has the same actors, kind of looks like it follows the same story. What am I supposed to watch before this movie? Does it even fall in line with the other DC movies? Well, I'm here to explain exactly what this movie is, why it's important that you do watch it, and everything that you need to know before watching Zack Snyder's Justice League. First, the behind the scenes. There's so much that happened behind the scenes of this movie and how it came to be released that you could probably write a book about it. Eh? See what I did there? So in order to fully understand the rowdiness of what went down, I think it best to start at the very beginning. In October of 2010, high off the success of The Dark Knight, and with its threequel The Dark Knight Rises gearing up to start production, director Christopher Nolan was highly favored at Warner Brothers. Probably still is. Nolan pitched an idea that screenwriter David Goyer had to bring Superman to the big screen, and Warner Brothers went for it. This led Nolan to handpick director Zack Snyder to take the reins on the project, and by 2013, this new interpretation of the Blue Boy Scout hit the big screen, appropriately titled Man of Steel. Our new Superman was a fairly unknown actor named Henry Cavill, who, if I do say so myself, looks more like Superman than the drawings in the comic books themselves. Sorry, I just get a little bit passionate when I'm talking about my boy Supes. Anyway, the film was relatively a financial success, but was not well received by critics, calling Snyder's take on the character too dark and gloomy, or needing to smile more. Because when you're an alien from another world who doesn't fit in and find out that your planet exploded and you're the last of your kind, the first thing you want to do is smile. However many people didn't like the film, there was plenty that did, and this prompted Warner Brothers to move forward with a follow-up to the Superman solo outing that would involve the Man of Steel going toe-to-toe with the Dark Knight himself, Batman. Snyder, who the studio decided to keep in the director's chair, announced the film Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice at 2013's San Diego Comic-Con to much excitement.
That it is official that we are going to make another Superman movie. Woo!
Ben Affleck was then cast as Batman shortly after the announcement, with Gal Gadot joining the cast as Wonder Woman as well. Jason Momoa was then cast as Aquaman, Ezra Miller as The Flash, and Ray Fisher as Cyborg, who would all eventually go on to reprise their roles in the team-up event film Justice League. By 2014, Warner Brothers announced that Zack Snyder would again return to the director's chair to helm both Justice League Part 1 and Part 2. You heard that correctly. There was a Part 2. Batman vs. Superman was released on March of 2016, and due to heavy critical backlash, again for it being too gloom and doom, the studio got really scared and subsequently had Zack and scribe Chris Terrio rewrite the script that they had already finished for Justice League. They wanted to make the film more light and fun and funny, and basically just toss out the script that they deemed was
crazy. There's gonna be mass hysteria in the streets if we film this.
Basically, they wanted something along the lines of the Marvel movies. In short, there was a lot of pressure from the studio to change the tone of the film, so far as to change the entire look of the villain of the film, Steppenwolf, which already made his debut look in Batman vs. Superman, so now it wouldn't match up. That's another story altogether. In May of 2017, Zack being deep into post-production, tragedy struck. Snyder had to step down from directorial duties during post-production of the film to properly deal with the death of his daughter, Autumn Snyder, and in his place, Joss Whedon, director of the first two Avengers movies, took over to handle post-production duties. However, sometime in July of 2017, it was announced that the film was undergoing 2 months of reshoots in London and Los Angeles, with Warner Brothers putting about $25 million or so into them, more than the typical $6 to $10 million of additional filming costs. Also, July is was like just a few months before the release date in November. Somehow, magically, the film actually made its release date of November of 2017, and to many surprise, the film really wasn't that good. I say surprise because they were fully expecting a Zack Snyder movie, but instead got a campy, cringy one, filled with oversaturated colors and horrible CGI on Superman's face.
You won't let me die.
You see, during the reshoots, Henry Cavill was contractually obligated to keep a mustache that he had grown for the film Mission Impossible Fallout. So the VFX companies were forced to digitally remove the mustache for Justice League, and, well...
Yes, it's meant to. It's meant to wind like a river.
It didn't work. The entire film did not feel right and just didn't look or sound like a Zack Snyder movie. It lacked Snyder's stylized visuals and deep themes, which got the attention of many fans, thinking there must be some alternative cut out there. This led to one fan named Sean Maher. I'm sorry, Sean. I'm not trying to butcher your name. I love you. So Sean tweeted at 5:24 a.m. on November 21st, 2017, a mere days after the film was released, one simple hashtag: release the Snyder Cut. As Sean O'Connell describes, this was a war cry which spawned fans across the globe to demand Warner Brothers, sometimes not very nicely, to release the alternative cut of Justice League. Some believed that fans should actually give up this pipe dream, and that this cut not only was never going to see the light of day, but didn't even exist. The nerve. Well, after 3 years of fighting for this cut and a couple of $100,000 donated to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, it seems as though this fandom finally got their wish. On May 20th, 2020, the historic day in our books, Snyder and his wife Deb, along with Superman star Henry Cavill, announced to a lucky group of fans,
"When will you release the Snyder Cut?"
There it is.
Yes. There it is. It's a hard question. I don't know. What do you think, Henry?
I reckon you should show it.
We're doing it, so get ready.
oh my god. The Snyder Cut was coming to HBO Max in 2021. What this means is that the true version of what Zack intended to be released, what he actually shot in 2016, is finally going to see the light of day in an uncompromised, unaltered, epic movie. Well, we're days away from the release, with fans all over the world already praising the film from early screenings. I absolutely cannot wait to watch it. The tale surrounding this movie is much larger than what I touched on today, and if you'd like to know the full story in fine detail, go ahead and pick up a copy of Sean O'Connell's book, Release the Snyder Cut. This book chronicles the entire behind-the-scenes saga from start to finish, and Sean eloquently tells the fan's story in such a beautiful way. So now that we're so close to the release, where does the film fit in with the rest of the DC movies? Does this film cancel out the film that was released in theaters in 2017? Unfortunately, Warner Brothers is treating this movie as a road that leads nowhere and still stands by the theatrical cut, which we'll just call Justice League from now on, as the proper canon film. So if you want to take it that way, to each his own. But Zack has stated that the films that tell his story and what fans are now calling the Snyderverse are Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition. Please don't watch the theatrical cut. The Ultimate Edition is the right one. Now, I know what you're thinking. I do not have time to go back and watch those movies before I watch the Snyder Cut. Don't worry. We got you covered with everything that you need to know before watching Zack Snyder's Justice League.
You have to listen to me.
It all starts, I guess you could say, in a galaxy far, far away. The planet Krypton is destabilizing from mining the planet's core, and the chief advisor of Krypton's Supreme Council, named Jor-El, pleads with the council to give him control over the planet's genetic codex.
Give me control of the codex.
The planet has not seen a natural birth in centuries, and it produces its citizens through a Genesis chamber. Now, this chamber uses the codex to write the predetermined DNA for each person that it creates. Basically, nobody has a choice in what they'll grow up to be. Before any action can be taken, a group of soldiers led by General Zod, an old friend of Jor-El's, launch an uprising and arrest the counselors. Realizing that Krypton is completely doomed, Jor-El steals the genetic codex sought by Zod and infuses it into the DNA of his infant son, Kal-El, the first natural-born Kryptonian in centuries. As some might like to call him, he's the last son of Krypton. Zod kills Jor-El, who sacrifices himself to allow his son to escape on a pre-programmed spacecraft after his wife, Lara Lorvan, launches it. The Council then apprehends Zod's rebel group and are then sentenced to exile in the Phantom Zone, a big triangular outer space prison thingy, after being convicted of treason, of course. Krypton's core eventually erupts, and Cal's mother is left to stand and watch her planet burn, taking her along with it.
Punishment for witches? What is that? That's right. Death by fire.
Following Jor-El's coordinates, Kal-El's ship crash lands on Earth, in Kansas, where a nice farming and coincidentally childless couple, Jonathan and Martha Kent, or as we like to call them, Ma and Pa Kent, find Kal-El and raise him as their own, naming him Clark. Now, Clark grows up as a young man who is kind of out of place a little bit. He learns his true origins from Jonathan and finds it difficult to grasp, as he would rather just
keep pretending I'm your son.
You are my son.
Several years later, Jonathan dies in a tornado while refusing to let Clark rescue him, as that might reveal Clark to the world before Jonathan thinks that he's ready. Burdened with guilt and looking for a new purpose in his life, Clark leaves to travel the world for several years under various aliases. One of these aliases leads him to Antarctica, where he finds a 20,000-year-old Kryptonian scout ship. He awakens the ship and unlocks the consciousness of his real father, his Kryptonian father, Jor-El, through inputting the command key in the ship. It's here where Clark learns all about his origins and finds the answers to these burning questions.
Where do I come from? Why did you send me here?
Of course, this is all after he rescues a sneaky Daily Planet reporter named Lois Lane, who follows him all the way to the ship as she's on assignment for this anomaly in Antarctica. Lois would like to tell the world about her rescuer and what she saw while on assignment. Her boss, Perry White, says that the whole thing is being covered up and fears that if people understood that someone like Lois explains in her story actually exists, the world will go nuts. Clark is given a Kryptonian uniform with the symbol of his family's house encrusted on his chest, which means
Hope.
Well, here it's an S.
After testing out his new suit, while learning that he can fly, of course, Clark heads back to Kansas to tell his mom, Martha, important to know that, all about his journey of self-discovery. Lois Lane goes down a route to discover the true identity of Clark, her rescuer, which also leads her to Smallville, Kansas, where Clark still is. She finds out his true identity and begs him to let her tell his story, but
What if I don't want my story told?
after explaining the sacrifice that his father made to keep his identity a secret, she lays off, but maybe sort of low-key starts to fall in love with him. So remember that Kryptonian scout ship that Clark basically turned on because of the command key? Well, that kind of sort of did something. General Zod and his crew intercept a transmission that was accidentally sent out from the scout ship and make their way toward Earth. And I don't think that they want to come for like a friendly visit.
I'm just speculating. But I think whoever's at the helm of that thing is looking to make a dramatic entrance.
Zod broadcasts a signal and tells the Earth,
You are not alone.
oh, and also that Kal-El needs to surrender himself to Zod, or the Earth will basically end. Clark, being the good guy that he is, does as Zod wishes and finds out that Zod's plan is to extract the codex from Clark's DNA, create more Kryptonians, wipe out humanity, and terraform the Earth to become the new Krypton. With the help of Lois, the US Army, and the consciousness of his father Jor-El, Clark is able to stop the terraforming process, and in a final battle that basically levels the city of Metropolis, Clark is forced to kill General Zod in order to prevent any further damage. This pains Clark, as he does not want to have to kill anyone, but wishes that everyone can be saved. I suppose because of shared traumatic experience, Clark and Lois totally fall in love and end up making out in a desolate metropolis. Clark then gets asked the question,
what are you going to do when you're not saving the world? Have you given any thought to that?
And decides to get a job at the Daily Planet, the same place that Lois works. Fast forward 2 years and a billionaire weirdo named Lex Luthor discovers a piece of Kryptonian rock left behind in the Battle of Metropolis wreckage that apparently can decay Kryptonian cells. They call this green mineral kryptonite, and Luthor proposes to create a weapon out of it, a
silver bullet to keep in reserve to use against the Kryptonians, so the day does not come, madame, when your children are waving daisies at a reviewing stand.
His proposal gets rejected, being chalked up as a weapon of assassination. However, Luthor makes an alternative plan with Finch's subordinate, which grants him access to General Zod's body and the Kryptonian scout ship that's left in Metropolis. After learning of the Gotham vigilante known as the Batman's form of justice, Clark seeks to expose him through his writing and work at the Daily Planet, even though Perry thinks that
nobody cares about Clark Kent taking on the Batman.
The Batman is billionaire Bruce Wayne, who has grown to hate Superman. Why? Turns out that the matter is actually personal to Bruce Wayne, as he was there during the Battle of Metropolis and lost many lives in the collateral damage. After the Battle of Metropolis, it seems as though all of humanity is divided, with some fearing Superman, wanting him to go back home, even though he can't, while the other side is of those who look to him as a savior, some type of messianic figure. So as of late, Bruce spends a lot of his days and nights trying to find a way to take down the Superman. Bruce, through his investigating, learns that Russian weapon trafficker Anatoly Knyazev has been contacting Lex Luthor. Bruce then attends a gala at LexCorp to steal encrypted data from the company's mainframe. But this person who kind of works like at the Smithsonian and a bunch of other places that have antiques, named Diana Prince, takes it from him. I don't know how. He's like the world's greatest detective. Anyway, she takes it from him and returns it after failing to access the information. While decrypting the drive, Bruce falls asleep and dreams of a post-apocalyptic world where he leads a group of rebels against an evil Superman. He is then awakened by an unidentified person appearing through a portal who tells him,
"It's Lois! Lois Lane! She's the key!"
He then urges him to find the others vanishing before your eyes. The decrypted drive then reveals Luthor's files on several different metahumans across the globe. Wayne tells his butler Alfred Pennyworth that he plans to steal the kryptonite and weaponize it, if necessary, to fight the Superman.
And we have to destroy him.
A widely publicized congressional hearing is held to question Superman's actions against Zod. A bomb smuggled in by Luthor detonates, killing everyone present except Superman, and he is left there to grieve by himself in the midst of all of this death, knowing that there is absolutely nothing that he can do. Superman blames himself for the bomb going off, feeling as though he didn't catch it in time, and then goes into complete exile. Elsewhere, Batman breaks into LexCorp and steals the kryptonite. He builds a superpowered exoskeleton, a kryptonite grenade launcher, and a kryptonite-tipped spear in preparation for battling Superman. Meanwhile, Luthor enters the Kryptonian ship and accesses a database of technology accumulated from over
100,000 different worlds.
Luthor then lures Superman out of exile by kidnapping Lois and his mother, Martha Kent. He pushes Lois off the LexCorp building, and Superman saves her, then goes to confront Luthor by saying,
"I'll take you in without breaking you."
Luthor then reveals his entire big master plan. He's been manipulating him and Batman this whole time by fueling their distrust. Luthor then demands that he kills Batman in exchange for Martha's life. Superman tries to explain this to Batman, who instead just attacks him and eventually subdues him using a kryptonite gas as Batman prepares to make the final move and kill Superman. Superman attempts to make one last breakthrough with Bruce by saying,
"Save Martha!"
Turns out that Superman and Batman both have a mom named Martha. Batman hesitates in confusion long enough for Lois to arrive and explain to Bruce exactly what Clark meant. Elephant in the room, let's talk about this moment. Most people think it's ridiculous, but I think it works beautifully on many levels. One of which is Bruce finally coming to his senses after becoming unhinged in his crime fighting. He's moved from justice to vengeance, and in this moment, as he hears his own mother's name being uttered out, called out by the very alien that he feels is a threat to humanity, he himself, Batman, realizes that he's become the very thing that he vowed to stop. Coming to his senses about how far he's fallen from grace, he promises to rescue Martha. Superman then regains his strength and confronts Luthor on the scout ship. Luthor executes his backup plan, unleashing a monster genetically engineered from the DNA of both Zod's body and his own. Diana then shows up with her own metahuman powers on display and joins forces with Batman and Superman, finally bringing together the DC Trinity in live action. Though outmatched against what Lex Luthor calls
Doomsday,
Superman realizes its vulnerability to kryptonite and retrieves the spear that Batman basically almost killed him with. He impales Doomsday with it, but in his dying moments, Doomsday kills Superman. Following Luthor's arrest, Batman confronts him in prison, warning him that he will always be watching. But Luthor gloats that Superman's death has made the world vulnerable to powerful alien threats, and that the
cannot be wrong.
Both Bruce and Diana attend Clark Kent's funeral, while Martha gives Lois an envelope containing an engagement ring from Clark. Bruce tells Diana that he regrets having failed Superman in his life, and he says that he will not fail him in death. He asks her to help him form a team of metahumans, starting with those named in Luthor's files, to protect the world in Superman's absence. After everyone leaves and all that is left is Lois giving her final goodbyes to her dear beloved, the dirt atop Clark's coffin levitates. And there you have it. You're ready to take on the behemoth of a movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League. I say behemoth because the film's runtime is a bold 4 hours and 2 minutes. Luckily for casual moviegoers, the film is split up into 7 different chapters, each marked with a title card within the movie. Zack Snyder's Justice League hits HBO Max this Thursday, March 18th. How are you planning to watch the movie? Straight through or broken up into sections? Which part are you most excited to see? Let us know in the comments below. As always, make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one, squad.